Hey, yo, welcome back to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronald Two Legs. As always, joined by AIW owner John Thorne. What is up, Thorne?
Hello, what's going on?
Back again.
At it. Yeah. Streak continues. Rah, rah, positivity.
Pretty soon it's not going to be a streak anymore. It's just the show, and then when we miss one, everyone's going to be like, what the fuck?
Well, it is hard. I put a lot of systems in place now to hold me accountable for all this stuff, and sometimes it does annoy me.
That's why I try not to be like a pest about it. Yesterday, typically we try to go on Sunday nights just because it kind of seems like the easiest day, kind of where, the least amount of things happening. And then, there was an AIW meeting earlier in the day on Sunday, so I know you had been doing AIW stuff pretty much all day on Sunday, so that's why, I figured you maybe didn't want to do it yesterday.
Yeah, plus I had to watch Sting's last match.
Yeah, we had the pay-per-view last night as well, too, so that was some wild shit, huh?
Yeah, go Stinger, dude. Rah, Stinger.
I liked, they had the other Stings out there, and I read today that it was like...
That was his sons.
His sons, yeah.
Yeah, that was his sons.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I got a little tip-off on that. Said, wait do you see the entrance?
Close personal friend Tony Khan?
No. I would I don't think I will ever use that phone number ever again. It's in there, though.
Yeah, it's like one of those like people, you got it, but you probably wouldn't, not going to go firing nothing off here anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't know if
he's such a nice guy, though. Like, it's so funny because that dude is so nice. Like, he probably would answer. He probably wouldn't, like, love it, especially if he, like, just started texting him all the time. But I bet you if he just randomly fired something off and it was, like, complimentary, I bet you he'd reply and be like, thanks, John. You know what I mean? Like, he just seemed like a really nice guy the time we worked with him.
Hit him with a sup.
What's up, Tony? Oh, that's fun. I figured we'd maybe run down, this past week we had a show at the Mercury Music Lounge on Leap Day. AIW presents The Leap. I feel like the show went pretty well.
Afterthoughts. Josh Bishop's mom said that we've been a little too negative on the pod. I thought we were really preaching some positivity these last couple weeks.
I don't think we've done anything too negative. I know we were a little down on ticket sales.
That was crazy though. I mean, we were all talking about that.
Like everyone said that Thursday. So many people came up to us and were like, you're working everyone on the pine." We're like, no, like that was legitimate ticket sales on that day when we recorded.
It was like 40 or something like that. Like, I mean, it came out of nowhere. On Wednesday, like all those ticket sales. I mean, it was crazy. Like it was like crazy run on tickets, like nothing I've ever seen before. Which I guess was kind of similar to the last Temple show. They said like the day before and the day of, tickets just went nuts for Terror at the Temple.
We always say and joke, about Cleveland being a walk-up town and like a day of town, but it has really been proving, to be true these last couple shows.
Yeah,
just like astronomical numbers,
which I hate because it's just like you don't know. Like the one time they're not going to show up.
You'll be like, no, it's fine. We've been through this a couple times. I feel it's okay. You don't get worried about it, and then that's when no one shows, and you're like, damn it.
Right. Yeah. Like I don't know. It was just. That was really crazy though. Shout out to the people that run the show. Like, and I gave kind of everybody a really nice pep talk on Friday morning. This is just that's like a proof of concept of what you guys can do when it's just you guys. You know what I mean? Like no like super major name or anything on the show. Just like really living and dying by the locals and. Obviously we had the women's match on there with Zaya Brookside, but for the most part, the rest of the show was all homegrown, localized talent. And I said this is a great proof of concept of what you guys can do. When if you guys all kind of come together and you put these little pockets of people together, it turns into 300 people on a Thursday night.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I don't want to get too, negative, like you said, but we will definitely a little bit later kind of delve into the women's match and kind of what went on there because, running a wrestling show, we always talk about, this job is not easy, and there's a lot of things that are involved with running a wrestling show, and you really had your work cut out for you, this week heading into that show. That's for sure.
I mean, just additional stress, but then. Like I said, that Wednesday and Thursday afternoon, it was just crazy. Like, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah. Do you feel like this is, a big testament to, like you said, our students, not students, but, younger core of guys and gals and this, hey, like this is, like you said, this is a proof of concept. Hey, we could do this every Thursday if you wanted to.
I don't know about every Thursday. I would not.
Well, every Thursday show. I meant, not every Thursday. No, I think that's a little crazy. But, if you promote things, you got support. People have supporters, out there. You just gotta, you gotta make it known that you want them to show up. And I think that everyone kind of really, kind of pulled their weight this last show and brought a great amount of people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, I'm super proud of honestly everybody. Like. It just couldn't have gone better. I guess the only thing better is to like make it so people couldn't move in there. But I don't think anybody was expecting that, and I was just it just blew away all expectations, honestly. It even smoked like, the biggest Winchester shows we ever did, like it's just a great effort out of everybody.
I like the Winchester a lot. I like that room. I thought it was a lot of fun, because I saw shows in the Winchester before I worked for the company, and I saw shows there as a fan, and I like the Winchester, but I really, really like the Mercury. And like you said, this last show, this last Thursday, we had almost 300 people in there, and it's like. That crushes any of the Winchester shows, and I just feel like you weren't cramped. I walked around a couple times while matches were going on. Use the restroom or get in and out or whatever, and there was a lot of people there, but never did it really feel like just like too.
The space is just so much bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say maybe the Joey Janela farewell that we did at the Winchester, like that was probably teetering on that 300 edge, but you absolutely could not move in that room.
Yeah, and there's just areas too where I just don't think maybe the sightlines were the greatest or whatever. With, like I said, I like the Winchester, but this new room, the Mercury is just, there was no spots really where you can go where you don't you know what I mean? Because there's just the way we use the stage and everything. I think all three kind of sides where you can stand are just great vantage point. There's that area in front of the bar that never really gets like totally crowded, so you can kind of sneak through. There's like avenues, kind of like alleyways on the side that you can maneuver through. So you're never, even though it was very crowded, you were never like feeling like like cramped in a spot. And so sometimes that I felt like that maybe happened once, a little bit at the Winchester in certain pockets.
Initially, like they had some chairs like right dead in front of the bar, and I had to move all the chairs to the sides, and I just kind of wanted to keep that, just that area open for, just some free moving back and forth, Yeah. And I think it worked out well. And, I think that they were happy with us. I actually just, because we were getting ready to podcast, I was supposed to follow up with the owner today at some point. So it's still today at some point. So I just shot him a message, thanking him and, hopefully trying to secure some more. They gave us one more initially on Thursday, which we did announce live to the live crowd, which will be Thursday, April 11th. We will be back, and I'm trying to iron out some more.
Yeah, very excited. The potential that these Thursday shows we can have. I think we talked them up big time on previous podcasts here. But the way that everyone showed out, I think all the potential that we said this building and these shows can have, I think is all very much in our grasps with how everyone responded.
And that the thing it is truly like a developmental, because in a way, because it's just like. I don't get to sit and, no offense, but like I don't have time to seek out, Sid and Zay Garcia tag matches that they're doing other places. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't have the time to sit and do that. But like, we talked about it last week about how, Sid has been trying to find his way and, all that stuff. And so I sit and I see that tag match, on Thursday, which, they they just destroyed each other. Like, there's no other way to describe it, but
yeah.
Then, we have this creative meeting yesterday, and, now all of a sudden, who normally wouldn't be, Sid and Zay are kind of in the conversation for other stuff, and like,
right.
They're, and it's not confirmed, but, like, their names are getting put up on the board, you know what I mean? And like that, no offense to them, but that probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't see that match on Thursday.
Right. And I mean, I don't think it's any slap in the face to either of them. Like you said, Sid, a guy who's been trying to kind of find his way with a couple different presentations. Zay, a very much newer person in the AIW fold, but I think they kind of found each other and have kind of came up with this new presentation that really, kind of grabs a hold of you. I think they had good dance partners in Dom and Shaw, obviously, but I think what they put together in the match that came out with was a great match, and I think like you said, draws the attention of a person like you that's not always going to see something like that. Definitely not in any other promotion. I don't see you having any time to go out of your way and watch other stuff, but maybe some of the earlier matches, pre-show stuff where some of these guys have maybe been showing their talents. You're kind of doing stuff. You got things going on, obviously. So you can't see it all. But in a match like that Thursday, when you say, "Hey, bring it," and those, I feel like all four of them brought it in that match for sure.
Yeah, and it's just sometimes it's just right place, right time, right opportunity. You know what I mean? And like it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to be on every show going forward, but it's the same thing like I talked about Tyson Riggs. Like I thought that he had just a great pre-show match at Eye for an Eye in February. And then I go like I had a little talk with him beforehand, which, I never did in February. And I said, I want you to, because they did a pre-show at Terror at the Temple, and like, it was like a weird tag, and like, he let K Arcadia got the pin, and like, because Cisco Silver had to pull off, and it was like this weird thrown together tag, which whatever, but it's just like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, you're the veteran guy, go out there and, optimize your minutes. And he didn't really do that. And, in February, I decided, I pulled him aside before the show. I said, hey, I wanted you to get that, to get that shine or whatever, to get that pin, and that it Terror at the Temple, you gave it to K Arcadia, which is whatever, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't anything wrong either, but I said, I want you to go out and I want you to have a definitive performance tonight. I want you to get a definitive win. I don't want it to be, you know what I mean? Like this, right. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're just kind of, like going along with whatever. Like I said, I want you to go out and get a definitive win. And like he wrestled, much like we've said about Chuck Stone, like Tyson Riggs wrestled with some confidence in that pre-show at Eye for an Eye, which I think we'll be putting up on Patreon pretty soon. But,
nice. Same
thing. That's kind of what got me, like, hey, like let's start doing a little bit more with Tyson Riggs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everyone who, was presented with the situation of the Thursday, hey, not necessarily like you said, a make or break, but definitely was put into a position to say, hey, maximize your time and let everyone see what you're really about. And I really think that everyone who was put in that situation really, lived up to hype / I think most of them exceeded expectations in a lot of cases. I thought Thursday's show was really great. I saw a lot of people tweeting. Chuck tweeted about it. A lot of people tweeted, hey, maybe this was, supposed to be billed as like a local, newer kind of talent show. And I think everyone really gave it their all and showed you that there's no reason to miss an AIW show, because no matter who's on the card, it's going to be a great time.
Yeah. I think, it's easy for it to get stereotyped when we do present it the way that we present it, but like it's doesn't mean that they're going to wrestle any worse. You know what I mean? Like, they are just more inexperienced than maybe some of the, you know, well-traveled people that you'll see on a shrine show or a temple show. But, like, that doesn't mean that they're going to wrestle any, you know, like, less... You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain. You know what I'm saying? Trying to say, like,
yeah, they're not going to level it down just because it's a student show or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? But I think that almost kind of brings it back to, like, what you're talking about, like, with developmental stuff. Like, this is, you are putting together, you know, and putting these people in a position, like, now you're on the poster, you know, this is how you treat this, and this is how you go about it, promoting this, you know, you're on that card, you're on that poster for the show, you need to be out there, you know, hitting the streets, telling your people, hey, come on out and see me, because that's the only way that stuff like that is going to continue to happen. You know what I mean? You could be a great wrestling talent, but if you're not really, you know, have anyone behind you or in your corner, you know what I mean, you're not really... You know, there's a million great wrestlers, you know what I mean? But it's more so with wrestlers that connect with the fans and stuff like that, and really kind of bring it full circle, or whatever, I guess what I'm trying to say.
To be honest, I feel two things make it, in fact, level up as opposed to, like, level it down.
Right.
One, it is getting a bigger opportunity with less time restraints than maybe some of these guys are used to. You know what I mean? They have time to let some stuff simmer, develop, and, you know, try things that they normally wouldn't try. And the second thing, which I know a lot of people that maybe listen to this podcast might not agree with, but not going live, I think made people wrestle a little freer. You know what I mean? And with a little less added pressure, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because there's something definitely inherent to saying, oh, you know, hey, we're wrestling, it's going to be live on pay-per-view, and you tell people, hey, you know, maybe somebody who can't come live, or some people not in the state or whatever. Yeah, there is that it's cool. Obviously, that's what you want. You want to be live. You want to, you know, have that pay-per-view, you know, feel. But at the same time, like you're saying, yeah, it kind of lets people kind of let their hair down a little bit. You're not immediately thinking about that, or like, oh, somebody's going to gift this, or, oh, if I botch this, you know, so-and-so is going to tweet about it, or, you know what I mean? There's just, yeah, an inherent level of a little bit less pressure, for sure.
And to be honest, like, even if we could stream, which we didn't test any of that out, you know, because we were doing so...
It's trash. The internet was trash.
Well, I'm saying with the hardware in.
Right.
You were on the Wi-Fi, which was not working great, which does not, you know, lead you to believe that it would be any better.
Well, it's tough because, I mean, for the sheer fact of if there was, like, if the hardware goes down, you know, you would want the Wi-Fi as a backup, or try to use something as a backup if the stream goes down or whatever. But yeah, it was not a great connection from what I was seeing.
But even if we could and everything was great, I don't think I want to stream those shows, because it just gives them a little bit of different a vibe. Gives you you got to be there in person that night. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of, I don't know. I think it upped the atmosphere, to be honest. And like the regular AW shows, you know, the energy and the atmosphere is second to none. Like but for a Thursday night, you know, with just without any of that, just tight timing and, you know, like I just think it made everything feel a little looser and a little bit more fun to attend than the formulaic, which, you know, you have to do at this point. It's part of the game, is live streaming, you know, especially the big shows. But, like, it can feel a little bit like a routine in a way when, you know, at least for us in the back, you know what I mean? It's very, like, structured and very, like, you got to get in, you got to get out, you got to hit this time, we got to do this, we got to do that. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, but like Thursday was just a little just more, you know, it's just everything felt freer, funner, a little, you know, looser vibe. And I think that just helped everybody's overall just performances.
There was definitely kind of like a substitute teacher in the building kind of vibe about it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a little bit less of like...
Yeah, it was Jeff from corporate.
Jeff from corporate was in charge. He's a little bit looser, but then at the same time, Jeff was on some shit, man. He was in the back telling people get ready, don't be dawdling around. And Jeff was kind of on his shit that week.
It was fun. It was kind of funny because I did look out at one point and like people were like coming up to him like, hey, like, can I sit? Because like if you weren't there on Thursday, there were just kind of like a couple rows of just regular seating like an indie show, and then on the other side of the ring, all the bar tables and stuff were set up. So like there would be a lot of tables with multiple seats at it, and like just to kind of give different vibes, and then there was a lot of room for standing room only around those areas, and like people were like coming up to him because like even if they didn't know like watch the skits or whatever, like he was a guy walking around in a tie, and they'd be like, hey, excuse me, sir, like are these tables available to sit at? Like here's my ticket, like I don't know if I need a special ticket, and like, they were like talking to him like an usher or like like he was in charge, and he's like, oh no, you can sit here. Like he was doing a good job.
Jeff's shaking hands, kissing babies out there, pulling rank.
Yeah, for sure. Like he was certainly, he was feeling himself. I'll say that, on Thursday night, and like, I mean, good for him, right?
Hey, I mean, everyone has a job to do, and everyone has a place in this company. It's one of the things I love about AIW. I love it here. I would have it no other way. But Jeff is, he's great. He does. I mean, it's no secret. We've told the stories many times on this podcast. Jeff has saved the day many times. But no bullshit aside. Remember the time he was behind the bar, and the guy's like, "Oh no, Jeff's got." He's like serving drinks,
mopping stuff up, filling. He's like, he's like the utility infielder.
He's a jack of all trades, and that night he just happened to be in charge.
But yeah, it was just I think it was great. It just there's really nothing negative I could really say about Thursday, to be honest. Like I thought everything over delivered. The only thing that I just didn't necessarily like is they brought the big ring. In Halloween we had the small ring. I think the smaller ring might work better in the room, but I don't know. I'm gonna kind of take a vote on it and see where everybody's at, because we did Halloween with the the low boy ring, which opened up a lot more space for top rope and stuff like that. But that day they also forgot the ring post. I think they brought the wrong wood. Like I think there's a lot of people that are negative about that ring, but it's also because they brought a lot of the wrong pieces and parts that day. So, like they brought the big ring this time, which looked good. It does help with sight lines and things like that, but, it does come with its limitations as far as, top rope stuff. So I don't know. I'm going to see kind of where everybody's at and how everybody feels, and, see what they want to do when we go back in April.
Yeah, I would definitely open it up to the people who worked it, because I would have to think that the fans probably liked the tall boy, just because, like you said, it was noticeably different to me. I could tell that it was higher, especially with how many people we had in there. It was nice, that it was way up there, because the first few rows, around ringside were packed. So, it was definitely a little bit easier to see, what was going on in the ring and whatnot. But yeah, I would definitely say, it definitely added limitations. I mean, we were saying somebody was almost like touching the top, just standing up. And we're like, I don't know if they could do a suplex, like it's hit their feet.
Big Sam, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that was it. But we were like, don't touch any of the poles, don't touch the disco light. Like there was rules handed out, another night where there was some rules handed out.
They were like,
prior.
Like everyone was trying to work out this, like, let's grab the rafters thing. And I was like,
nope.
Make sure you're grabbing the rafters, because the other thing is a fucking water pipe, you know what I mean, for a sprinkler system. And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, that's all we need is you guys to pull down this friggin' water line sprinkler system. God. That would probably be so much money to replace.
If it was broken aiming towards the stage, it would essentially be a fire hose aimed at me and my computer and all my electronic equipment. I would fucking freak out.
Oh, I mean, I would think that the venue would be freaking out a little bit more.
Oh yeah, no, obviously, yeah. But I'm saying I'd be grabbing my shit and running because I'd be getting sprayed with water. Because you have to like turn that off like outside. You know, the water it gets turned off like outside the building or something like that for the fire. You know, or whatever that the pole that we're talking about. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that's another thing too. Is like, you know, I was talking to Pedro about this. I was like, listen, like I understand that, you know, like. They can work around all this stuff and all that, you know, depending on where the height is. But, you know, also, have you ever met anybody on our crew? You know, like sometimes they don't necessarily listen, you know, that well.
Oh, that freaking choir thing the last time when we worked the big room. It has been told to every single person on that roster, do not jump off the stage right in the front where there's the choir pit because it's like this very thin particle board that just covers where like the choir sits for like plays and stuff. So many times they're fighting on there, stomping. I think Justice jumped off the amp, like the speakers on the side onto it, like so many times. We're like, stop jumping. Yeah, nobody listens.
Yeah, so that's what I was telling Pedro. I was like, Pedro, I understand your input on the matter, but I am also planning for the people that like go, oh, well, I didn't know we couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like instant, like before the show when people are like looking up at those rafters and somebody went to jump up and I yelled because they were about to try to grab onto the water pipe. And I said, that is not a rafter. Like that is a pipe, you know, like that is not going to hold you. Like it's not like a thick pipe. It's like a little thin sprinkler system thing.
Yeah.
So that is also why I think maybe we will try the small ring next time. And then, you know, if they give us a third date, then, you know, we make the determination of what ring would you prefer? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the lowboy with all the right parts, I remember we have set it up correctly before, and I feel like people they liked it, you know, because didn't we use it in Kent before?
Yeah, we used it in Kent.
Yeah, I feel like people...
We used it in Kent and one in the Youngstowns, and then they moved to the big ring in Youngstown for like the same thing, like sightline purposes. Which, you know, Chase was still able to do a shooting star at the West Side Bowl in the big ring. But, you know, I don't know. It's just like we have it. We might as well try it. You know what I mean? And then try it with all the right parts and put it together right and all that stuff. You know, like, but yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, if we can continue to do that, you know, every other month or, you know, like, whatever, I think that is just a great, you know, additional thing to put on the schedule. You know what I mean? Like $20 tickets, you know what I mean? First come, first serve, like all that stuff, like bigger room, lots of, like, you almost had 300 people in there on Thursday night, and there was plenty more room to get people in there. So, you know, I think it was just a great space.
I honestly think that we have our own kind of division of AIW fans that reside in Lakewood and like that Lakewood area. I saw a handful of comments of people on Facebook saying that like we're in the Lakewood area, love the Thursday nights like that. Please keep doing more of this. I think we have a pretty big contingent of people that are in the Lakewood area that are really going to start coming to these shows.
And I mean, so many had never been to AIW before. Like, you know, you had, you know, Stacy and Pam and, you know, Michael Porter and, you know, a lot of the people that almost never miss, you know, but then like there was just a huge contingent of people that have never been there before. And, you know, by the time this airs, this will probably mean a little bit more. But, you know, I found out at one point during the show, and I didn't make a big deal about it, but John Tenta's daughter was in the crowd on Thursday night, who that is the season premiere of Dark Side of the Ring this season is about John Tenta. So he is episode 1. His daughter was in the house Thursday, which, you know, is pretty fucking rad, you know, to be honest. So you just never know who's going to show up and check out AIW, I guess.
Yeah, I did not hear that. Does she live in the area, or how does that even come about?
I guess Yeah, so I guess she is in the area, and she's been. I guess she came to Terror at the Temple, from what I understand, and then came back on Thursday, to check it out. Obviously, probably the Dark Side of the Ring stuff kind of got the wrestling bug back in her ear. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure she's heavily featured on that coming up this week. So.
Speaking of that, because I was going to ask, are they kind of reaching towards the end of this? Because there's some stuff, but I don't think like there was anything really bad with John Tenta as far as like, Dark Side of the Ring and some of the stuff they just kind of covering his life? Because I don't think he did anything like he was like villain, you know what I mean? He wasn't bad,
no,
right?
like I think it's just kind of covering his life. And
okay, that's what I thought.
I know he did have some battles with he had a pretty brutal battle with cancer towards the end of his life. But to be honest, I don't know what sort of controversy is gonna if any is gonna be in there. You know what I mean? Like
right.
It's not like New Jack or, something like that. But, I mean, who knows? Like, maybe I'm wrong. Like, I also haven't looked into it at all. I don't know.
I just was pretty curious because as far as I don't know, like, not a historian on the guy, but I'm pretty sure he's like a pretty good guy. He's like a family man and stuff.
That's what I take it as, too. So,
yeah.
It may just kind of be like a look into his life. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he got saddled with some dumb gimmicks, but I don't know either, to be honest. And I don't want to.
They're getting to the end of it, like who they can cover, and they're just kind of anybody who's passed or whatever. I think they may be doing. But
maybe it's just like a documentary type thing. But I'm also not going to really look into it, because I kind of just want to watch the episode and see what it is. But I thought that was pretty cool that his daughter was in the house Thursday night.
Yeah, that's definitely rad.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't see enough good things. Josh Bishop's mom, if you're listening, the preaching positivity like you requested. But I really do feel like very good about this year. I felt it, kind of in my bones coming out of Terror at the Temple, and the Stan Hansen thing obviously fucking sucked, and we just kept on trucking, and still drew very well, and the show was amazing, and now we did this Thursday thing, and that exceeded expectations. I'm sure that we will hit a bump in the road sooner or later, but it does feel like we are really kind of starting to kind of click everything into place, so to speak.
I'm loving it right now because I just you say, hey, maybe something will happen here or there or whatever, but I feel like this next show that we got lined up is such a massive show, and I feel like it is a perfect show for us to kind of, like you're saying, we're getting this momentum going. I think this next show on the 22nd at the Temple is going to be just a barn burner of all sorts. I mean, a lot of things have already been announced. We got Danhausen coming back, AIW return of Danhausen. People been talking about when is Danhausen coming back, for how long, bringing that guy in. We got Effie coming back.
To be honest, I think, the Danhausen thing is probably going to be a one night only thing on the 22nd as of now. His schedule is just insane.
I wouldn't expect to. Yeah, I would not expect that guy to just start showing up in AIW. I would think this is very much he's coming in, because, and I don't think he's doing a ton of places either. I know
he's doing some GCW dates. He's doing us. He's doing a couple others like freelance and stuff like that. And I'm sure he's getting busier as and filling his dates up. But yeah, he when he said he was going to start taking some indies, I sent him like our dates, and he's just like, I can do this one, and I'm like, oh, okay, this one. And at that point it was already booked, but I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me move some things around, and, let's see what happens. So, I really do think that, that show should be, I hope, gigantic. I would love to move the remaining second, third, and fourth row tickets, sell that floor out, and then, just start working our way up through that, that lower bowl, that GA section, which we did. We lowered ticket prices It's only $15 GA
Nice.
at the Temple this time, just because we really want to get some heavy volume in that building.
That's awesome. I mean, I know some fans had a few complaints about the building on prices of certain things or whatever. That is us. Not to pat our backs too hard there, but there you go. Again, trying to just
we're
do
taking
everything
a hit
we can
on it, but I'm hopeful. By lowering prices, that means we can get a bigger volume of people in there, and hopefully it just kind of cancels out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
And I mean, if it doesn't, it doesn't, and then it was an experiment gone wrong. But I'm hoping that we can get a heavy volume of people in there on March 22nd, and then if that is a working formula, you know what I mean, and everything goes up across the board and all that stuff, they'll be more likely to hopefully give us the big room. You know what I mean, like. And then going forward, I know that in like our regular guy that we've been dealing with, he's been moved to open up a new facility in a different state. So we're walking into kind of a new management team, and it's a same thing as always. You got to do you got to do what you can to impress and show our value. So that's the hope on that.
Do you feel like man, like damn it, like all the shit sandwiches, that we kind of ate with a smile and problems, whatever, you book a venue, things happen here or there. There's a lot of things go whatever, but we've solved a lot of problems. We knew that guy pretty well. I felt like we did a lot of like, I felt like we were in a good place with that guy. You know what I mean? Now he's like gone. Now it's like there's got to be like a new guy.
You start all over again. Which is fine, you know what I mean? But I just hope that, I just hope it's, just continues, like obviously, and it's really like the faults of some of the talents and things like that. But obviously there were some things that they weren't necessarily ecstatic that we've done in there. So, hopefully we're kind of coming in with a good clean slate, and, we get that heavy volume of people in there now that we've dropped the GA tickets down to $15 to kind of, make like, and that is the advantage of when you're running a bigger place like that, like it's almost certain that we would not sell it out. Like as much as my ego would like to, argue that, like, I don't think that there's probably any shot that we sell that whole thing out. So, if we can, just if lowering it to $15 can get you, 50, 100 more people in there, you know what I mean? Like that sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, and I mean that to me, 50, 100 people up in that upper bowl makes a huge difference. You know what I mean? And that it just view-wise, how it looks on film, how the wrestler is performing in the ring. Just wrestling in front of that many people. It's just there's a lot of advantage to filling that place up.
Yeah, for sure.
Huge card though, we got we didn't even get mentioned a Demolition coming in for a meet and greet. I mean, definitely not a team you're going to see, in this area.
I mean, I know that they've obviously done thousands of appearances over the years, but not a lot as Demolition together in this area. And I know they're really kind of winding down things. They're only doing one or two a month, I think now. So it's certainly kind of getting to that. To that range to where you're going to see them doing less and less. They are older guys, so especially Demolition Axe, Bill Eadie, he is, he's certainly getting up there in age. So, I wouldn't miss that, you know what I mean? Like an opportunity to come out and see those guys both together, get things autographed, you know what I mean? Like Bill Eadie's 76 years old, you don't want to, you know what I mean? Like who knows how many more times he's going to come to the Northeast Ohio area. He's been fucking running ragged in this business for, since like the early 70s, I'm pretty sure. So, like just come out, pay your respects, one of the most recognizable teams from that 1980s, into 90s, just WWF boom period of wrestling. Like, they are one of the most recognizable teams of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a huge card. We got, like I said, Effie coming back. People have been asking for him. Danhausen. Plenty more things that have not even been announced yet. The mystery person that I forgot that John had to tell me about.
That's going to get announced on Intense TV, I'm pretty sure.
Excellent. So, yeah, well, we didn't even mention that yet. Another something else we've been doing, Intense TV. If you haven't gotten to check it out, Intense TV will this air. Well, once again, I'm thinking we're going back to our Thursday time slot. When we don't have a live show, Intense TV airs on Thursday evenings, 6:55. Correct? Is when you guys have been busting, or 7:55?
7:55. So
7:55.
Yeah, so 7:55.
Okay. I think we pushed it early for that Wednesday night.
We did.
That's what confused me.
We did 6:55, so we didn't counter program with Dynamite.
Close personal friend Tony Khan. But yeah, check out Intense TV, Dustin Alberti, Wadsworth, those guys, Chase, everyone working really hard on that stuff, everyone else involved. I know we just filmed a bunch of stuff for it Thursday.
There was like a huge
stuff, they're for future
huge
episodes.
Filming session on Thursday, to kind of, we're trying to do it weekly, you know what I mean? Like, we're trying to do the podcast weekly. We're trying to hit you with the Intense TV stuff weekly, you know what I mean? And just keep the people that want to be informed. And then also, if you just want to see what's happening on the shows and go to the shows, you just got to hit social media. You know what I mean? Like, you don't got to see any of the extra stuff if you don't want to see it.
Right. But so yeah, this Thursday, 7:55, Intense TV. We're gonna have another episode. Make sure you check that out. Some things may be answered, some matches, some debuts, some people announced for the 322 card. I did want to talk to you about this past Thursday we did have a women's match scheduled, which we did end up having one as well, but there was a few.
Yeah, I mean, we could go over a lot. We could go over a lot of the card, if you want. That's totally fine. I mean, we don't got to do spoilers really, because it is going to air on Triller. But whatever you want to get into, let's get into it.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about, the things that you have to deal with as far as being a promoter and, people, things that, like this podcast is called, The Card is Going to Change. We had a women's match, announced, and we had a bit of a cancellation. So there was just some moving parts and just, it was a lot that went into booking the women's match. It wasn't just like, oh, okay, this person can't just throw. We don't just. There was a lot that goes into it, I guess, is kind of what I wanted to highlight. That you didn't just take the easy. Just throw this in there. So well, this didn't happen. Well, just put whoever in there, and it is what it is. You went through a big process of trying to figure out the right piece to plug in there, and and go with.
It was it can be nightmarish, when you have a cancellation. We've been talking about how we wanted to feature, more women's matches, and Chase Oliver kind of refers to it as cast members. Like, he is like, we need these. He thinks like everybody's a part of like the large AIW cast of this like large ongoing like television series or something. And like we've been kind of dealing with the same three girls, rotating them around for like a year, 2 years or whatever, maybe longer, in Jocelyn, Katie, and Ziggy. And we needed to bring in some fresh faces, to kind of if we want to continue to have, people for them to work with and, just make these different combinations. And we had brought Zaya Brookside in a couple months ago, and she worked with Katie, and, I thought it was a great match. I think I talked about it last week, but I saw Zaya really for the first time when I went to Black Label. And, I thought she's just one of the most underrated, just female talents out there. Not even female talents, just talents. And, this Gina Marie had reached out to us, and I knew that she was signed, and she had relocated to the Pittsburgh area, and I had a couple people, say some good complimentary things about her. And, so I said, hey, if we're going to do this Thursday show, like, I think it would be great if we use kind of two, fresh girls for, that aren't really that familiar in AIW, and kind of give them a little bit of a spotlight. And, it's difficult because, it's really hard to, Dave Prazak should be in like every Hall of Fame for wrestling that there is, because we've done all women shows. We've done, we've booked a lot of women over the years, and it's like, it's difficult, not in the sense that it's difficult to, deal with the talent or anything, but it's just difficult because, there's so fewer female talents than there are male talents. Like it, like in every city in America, you can probably find 100 male wrestlers within like a 50-mile radius that are willing to come wrestle on your show. Like, maybe that's an exaggeration, but there's far more male wrestlers available. So anyway, we put this match together, and on Tuesday, I believe it was, which we really get the information on Wednesday, is Gina Marie got hurt. She was at training. She injured herself. She was able to get into a doctor, I believe, Wednesday. And, they advised her, she suffered an injury and she should take a few weeks off, and which meant she can't wrestle, on Thursday. Doctor's orders telling her, you can't wrestle. Sorry. So she like hits us up and was like, hey, this happened. I'm very sorry. But like, we're kind of in a spot like now, we have Zaya Brookside coming in, and then we have nobody for her to wrestle, so, and there was a point where it was like, okay, maybe we can change the Jocelyn and Malcolm thing. But then, you run the risk of maybe Malcolm doesn't get on the show, or you got to book a whole other tag team. And, and then it's just like also kind of defeating the purpose of what we wanted to do, which is establishing different girls, you know what I mean? For them to eventually work with Jocelyn, Katie, Ziggy, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
So it was kind of defeating the purpose in that. And, I started reaching out to like tons of girls, you know what I mean? All over the map. And, it's just like, can't do it, can't do it, can't do it, can't do it on this notice. Like, and it's just, it was getting pretty difficult. I mean, I probably reached out 10 to 15 different people, and, it's just like, what are we going to do? Cause like now we have Zaya Brookside, she's coming in, she's flying in. Who's she going to work with? You know what I mean? At that point, it's like, you got to rebook the whole card, and, Ethan Page, actually, I was talking to him and I was telling him what was going on, and he was like, you got to book this girl. And I was like, well, where's she from? He was like, New York. I was like, oh my God, that's going to be just like, that's going to add on so much more expensive, like it was just, I was like, I don't know. Like, and he was like, no, you got to book this girl. She's great. She's great. Let me reach out to her. And he's like, he's sending me videos and like all this stuff. And he's like, I'm telling you, this is the girl. This is the girl. This girl's going to be, incredible. And, he's just like, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna, like, I didn't even know, anything about her really. And, he's just like wearing me down to where he's just like, no, you got to book this girl, like, and, he's like, I was like, dude, like, I mean, I'm in a spot, like I'm pretty like, I don't know, like that's far, that's a far trip, to get on a few hours notice essentially at this point. Like it's probably not going to work anyway. And he's like, no, just let me reach out. Let me figure this out for you. And like, he really was a driving force. And, Gabby getting booked on Thursday, and, I couldn't be happier with how it turned out, to be honest with you, because I thought she did great.
Yeah, I mean, she was great. Do you think that Ethan, because we did, like you said, you reached out to a handful of people, and it was a very, limited window of time to say, to decide to drive or fly or wherever, to tell for these people to make it. Do you think that Ethan was like, hey, you have this opportunity. I know the owner of this company, and they're looking for someone to book. Do you think he kind of pumped it like AIW somewhere you obviously want to be? Because I know that Ethan has been pretty vocal about AIW being one of the first places to really give him a shot. And, I think Ethan has a lot of faith in support in our company. And do you think that he was maybe like, listen, this is a place you want to wrestle. You should take this booking.
Well, it was kind of like two things. It was some of that for sure, but also and we're talking about Gabby Forza, by the way, for anybody that wasn't at the show on Thursday. The Nomi, yeah. But also, she dates Bear Bronson, who is in AEW now, and he was a person that would travel out to AIW, and Bear Country did several AIW shows, before they got signed, and he was also like, no, like this is a show that you want to do, but he was also a little like, I talked to him because he came out with her and on Thursday, and he was like really nervous because he was just like, AIW shows are like really good and a lot of people watch them, and like he was really hyping up like the regular shows. When he got there, I said, this is a little bit different scenario. We're going for a different vibe. We are trying to make it to feature more kind of underseen people. Obviously Zaya Brookside isn't in that category, but, in the grand scheme of AIW, she is, as far as us trying to establish new female talents. But, I told them the overall idea for the show is to really hype up people coming out of our school and give them, a platform to work, no streaming, a little less pressure, stuff like that. And he was just like, oh my God, like this is perfect. You know what I mean? Like this is not what I thought it was going to be. I told her she's going to pass up the opportunity, but like I was feeling a little bit of pressure for her, and like as soon as he heard that, like, I think everybody was a little bit relieved in the fact that like, she wasn't expected to like, like live up to anything really. You know what I mean? Like it was, right. They understood the concept of the show overall. And I mean, she killed it. You know what I mean? Like she way over delivered, for sure. And I think everybody that was there Thursday would agree with that. But that it was really Ethan Page that was the driving force behind the Nomi getting a shot at the AIW on Thursday. I mean, obviously, like I tried a ton of people, but like she was not on my radar at all. You know what I mean? And like, especially based on proximity alone, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't on my radar.
Yeah. And I mean, you talk about, there's a lot of, male wrestlers at anyone's disposal at any time, but there's a lot of female wrestlers out there too, but it's, unless you're watching, a lot of these it's hard to, to pinpoint who people are or this or that, I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, even still, I'm saying like you're probably going like 50-1, like as far
right. But I guess so. My point is, it's almost kind of harder to have your kind of you're not this, women's wrestling know-it-all guy. So it's like you're getting a lot of, you kind of open it up to a few people in the chat. Hey, any names? And you're getting some names, but it's like, there's just so many different names to throw out there. I feel like, who we got, and I feel like Gabby came in and
I thought
really,
she was perfect for the scenario.
Yeah.
Like,
it was perfect.
For the environment, bar, you know what I mean? Like, gimmick. The whole thing worked, you know what I mean? Like, and they had a great match too, but like the fact that she had that gimmick and everything really kind of, just the crowd really opened their arms to it. You know what I mean? Like
immediately, as soon as she came through the curtain, I think she had people like, "Oh, who is this? Like, this is cool." Like, and it was a perfect like platform for that. The bar show, you know what I mean? A little bit more smaller room and intimate setting. She had the gnome with her and stuff. She got the big pads and all that stuff. I don't want to spoil too much, but I think it was perfect. Her presentation of everything was,
the presentation
was perfect for that
just
room.
Like the presentation just made everybody welcome her with open arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like, like we, at that point, Rosie the ref makes her AIW debut as well, which that really like the, the people that, the local fans that, know of her and know she's been coming to our school and, you know, have seen her elsewhere. Like, that was a big moment, you know, and it like turned into this like really great, like kind of, you know, just like girl, you know what I mean? Just like girl power moment, you know, like to where like all like the whole thing, just the crowd just immediately like just embraced everything, and like they were behind it from the second that Rosie came out. And then, you know, you had Gabby and you had Zaya, and like people were like, it was immediately like they had a captive audience, you know, just based on, you know, the three of them, you know, three females are standing in the ring, you know, in this, you know, I guess you could even say like male dominated company show, whatever, you know, and like the people were like so with it and so supportive of it. And like that exceeded any of the expectations that any of us had for, you know, really wanting to feature a women's match. Like we wanted to feature a women's match, but like the reception was just bigger than I think any of us, you know, could have imagined. And it just turned out to be such a perfect moment.
Yeah, because that wasn't something that, you know, was like telegraphed.
You can't plan. You know what I mean? Like we didn't plan.
Yeah, you know
that.
what I mean? Right. It wasn't like, okay, now here's the moment we're going to get all the women out there and really get this big It just kind of happened
like,
that way.
It was just like, hey, you know, hey, like Rosie, you know, this is the perfect spot for you to go out on a real show. You know what I mean? And you know, because there's been other times where, you know, people have pushed for her, and you know, I've been kind of resilient because I wanted it to be in the same vein of the other kids. You know what I mean? Like, you know, to kind of, you know, they go through fresh meat or whatever. This was kind of like in the realm of a fresh meat sort of thing. So I thought it was just a perfect moment. Did not think that she was going to get a reaction, really. You know what I mean? Especially with it, you know, there's not a lot of regulars at the bar show. You know, like I said, you know, we could have named, you know, the handful of, you know, regular AIW fans that were there, but like for the scenario in the bar, you know what I mean? Like with this crowd of probably people that had never seen AIW before, a lot of them, they all instantly just like gravitated towards, you know, what sort of moment that it was, you know, and like it was a big, you know, that's got to be probably the, you know, one other time, I think, you know, when Gail Kim was a special guest referee friggin' 10 plus years ago, for, you know, I don't even remember. I think it was Mia Yim versus Allison Kay. I might be wrong on that, but that was the only other time that it's been, you know, all females in the ring like that, and in all those roles. I'm pretty sure. And maybe Gail Kim did another. I think Gail Kim might have actually did 2 special guest ref spots in AIW over the years, but regardless, you know, like that was like the first like special guest referee, you know, all females in the ring thing, and the people, you know what I mean, for bar crowd or whatever, you know, like they really got it, you know, and like we did have like a lot of females in the crowd, you know, so I think that really kind of, you know, that really spoke to them as well.
Yeah, it was a great night overall. We did also have another, you know, I don't want to, you know, get away from that too quickly, but it does bear to mention, we did have another referee debut, Mike Romo, a guy people have seen around the academy, a guy who's been, you know, in the back working on stuff. He came out and had his referee debut tonight.
Yeah, and I thought that he did great, you know what I mean? And like,
Mike was solid, man.
And Mike's been working, you know, in the back, you know, since he started coming to the school, training to be a ref, and he's been, you know, doing a lot with time cues and, you know, just working in the back with production, and, you know, he's trying to learn everything. And you know, this was, you know, again, like much like Rosie, you know, we don't want to throw him out there on a regular show, you know what I mean, and just like, here's the new ref. They just both kind of benefited in the fact that Jay Clemens couldn't come, Tom Dunn couldn't come, you know, Porter, I think he just didn't want to ref, I don't know, you know what I mean. So
I think he was letting them have their spot.
He was just kind of, he was just kind of like, I'll take a back seat. And at that point, Charles Van is the senior referee on the for the night, and then
you got a big kick out of saying that too. I remember earlier in the night when Coach was like, "No, I'm let this go," and you said, "Oh, Ref Charles Van, senior referee on the squad."
Yeah, he was the senior referee, which was kind of which was kind of funny, but it made sense because it was such a student AIW Academy centric show. So it opened up spots for Mike Romo as well. I won't get into his whole story. One day we will, but just a great night for him, great night for Rosie. You know what I mean? I think it just really, it made the night feel special in a way. Certainly for those two. I think no doubt for Rosie and Romo. They certainly, it was probably a very, very big night for both of them. But, I just think stuff like that is, it sounds cliche or whatever, but it's like when it goes so well and people do good, it's just like why you do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I know it just sounds lame, but like it's true. Like the just sense of accomplishment we all feel when, somebody goes out there and, that we've, helped produce, along the way or teach, and they go do a great job. It just, and that's the story of this whole show. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I think like Katie and Zaya and Gabby, or I think everybody else is like on the show was pretty much AIW produced.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know much more. We could run down the card a little bit here. We kind of been going.
I'm trying to think about it, but like everybody, I think on the show, besides Zaya and Gabby, I think they all came through the academy in some form. Even from Chase Oliver producing the show, the camera people, you know what I mean? The people working the door were students,
Yeah, because we had Pedro ring announcing, so they had students at the door. Because remember one time you had said something like, wait, if you're standing here, who's over at the door? And he answered so calmly, like he had a student's name, and he said, no, they're taking care of it, don't worry.
Well, no, so that is the second part of the conversation, because I had asked Pedro that, because Steve Guy wasn't able to make it, so Pedro was going to do it. And I was like, who's working the door? And he said, Monsoon's working the door. And then at 5:45, he's like, where the fuck is Monsoon? And like he texted Monsoon. He's like, oh, I'm not coming. I didn't know I was supposed to come. Like, I got to work tomorrow.
Oh, no.
So then Pedro was like, what the fuck? And I was like, I didn't tell Monsoon. I thought he told Monsoon, and maybe he thought I told Monsoon. You know what I mean? Like one of those things that was lost in translation or whatever. And
he just is usually always there too. Right. I can't think of the last time I didn't see the guy.
And he was definitely at the Halloween one, and when Pedro ring announced. So, and then he goes, okay, that's why Porter wasn't reffing, because Porter volunteered to work the door with Caitlin and one of the other students. So then Porter's supposed to be kind of on, door supervisor duty. And then that's what you overheard. It wasn't talking to Pedro. It was Porter. And I go, aren't you supposed to be working the door?
Yeah, I remember when you said that to someone. You're like, what are you doing?
And he's like, oh, yeah, Caitlin's over there. I was like, yeah, you're supposed to be helping. He's like, oh, they got it. I'm like, I fucking hope they do. What if they don't? You're back here.
It worked. It all worked out for the best. Thursday, I really think Thursday was a testament to what our crew can do when everyone, is putting their best foot forward and doing what they know they can handle. I think everyone really knocked it out of the ballpark, from the matches to, like you said, the refereeing to people working the doors, the cameramen. I just think everything went off great on Thursday, and I can't wait to see more of these Thursday night shows. I think Thursdays are a lot of fun, and I'm excited for the future of them.
Yeah, and I mean, by the time this podcast will have come out, we're back April 11th. And Hornswoggle will be making his return to AIW on the Thursday night show.
Yeah.
A little bit different than what we've just been talking about, but the Thursday opens up opportunities for, people that were, AIW mainstays that kind of are, not on the shows as often anymore. It also kind of opens up opportunities to do things like that and, do these little homecoming things, I think, which could really add to the, just kind of, overall just power and benefit of doing more Thursday shows. So, I figured, why not bring Swoggle in for one? You know what I mean? But, to be honest, I was thinking about booking him before, if they were going to give us another date. I was like, hey, I'm looking at some Thursdays in April. How are your Thursdays in April? And, he said, they were pretty much all good. And then, because especially like we said earlier, when we're looking at like 40 tickets, like a few days before, I was like, if we can sell them on another one, I'm going to have to like put some sort of attraction on, you know what I mean? Because this is not working, and
well, yeah. And he's below, I mean, he's big. He's Swoggle is a draw, man. That dude rules. I also think he's a lot of fun too. I really like Swoggle, and I feel like at these Thursday bar shows, he could be a fucking blast, man. Like Swoggle could be great on a Thursday bar show. Like you think back, to a lot of the Swoggle moments. I'm excited for a Thursday night Swoggle.
So, by the point that the show was a success and they agreed to give us this April 11th date, I said, hey, you know what? I was already talking to Swoggle about it, like, fuck it. Like, let's just do it anyway, like, let's just see if we can beef it up even more. But to be honest, like the conversations were opened up based on like thinking that we were going to need a hook if we were able to convince them to allow us to do another one. And then it turned out, everything was good, but then it's just like, well, let's just throw the hook on anyway, and see if we can, build it up even more. But again, like you're saying, him in that environment, I think could be a lot of fun, like it just, I don't know, like I see a lot of potential for the Thursdays, and like Chase Oliver says in these meetings, establishing, new cast members, like establishing the supporting cast, whatever. It's just, I think there's a lot of opportunities, and then, eventually like, you look at the main shows, even like how many of those kids, that are considered big AIW stars now, your Josh Bishops and Eric Taylors and Chuck, and Chuck Stone and Wes Barkley and, PME and all these people that are like considered by our crowd as like the legitimate stars of the promotion. Just, 5 years ago, like we're just kids like this trying to just get spots. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah, how far they've come in such a quick time, and
just the perception that the fans have of them too. You know what I mean? Like how people have been embraced. It's just that's the process. And I know not everybody's along or cares about being along for the ride, and there's very few that were, but I'm sure. People like Stacy Silvers and Pam and, Thrift Store Jobber, they probably like they probably look back and laugh at, like, man, remember when Josh Bishop was just this like skinny 18-year-old kid, like just stuff like that is like for them, like just the perspective that some of, the fans that have been riding with us forever probably have, like, it's probably just great, and it's probably why they want to come to these Thursday shows, because they've seen the finished product in a way. You know what I mean?
Josh is one to me that it's just so freaking sweet to see how big of a name he is now and how far he's come in such a short time and how big of a deal he is. Where, I mean, I don't know how much you want to talk about or what people know about as far as with the JCW stuff, but there's been some stuff going on. The Juggalo Nation is a large contingency of people. I was in some post. I was reading some posts on social media talking about JCW and this and that, and Josh's name, there are people all over that talking about Josh Bishop. And you're talking about juggalos from the middle of nowhere that are not going to every indie wrestling show like people are, because, you got some indie fans out there and say, oh, if you pay enough attention to indies, you see these guys, these names. But not everyone, has their nose to every indie and is watching all these shows on these streaming services and stuff. Josh Bishop is known. That dude is out there. People know who he is. He is a big deal. And I just think that is the fucking coolest shit because that dude is, Josh is the best. You know what I mean? The guy, he fucking rules. He's a giant monster. The dude deserves to be everywhere. He will be on TV somewhere someday and we will all be able to say, remember when Josh Bishop, with curly hair and glasses, Josh, promo picture Josh, It's just like a testament to what the AIW machine can do, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the machine, doesn't always bat 1,000 or whatever, but even still, we find spots, you know what I mean, for everybody, and we give people the platforms and the opportunities, and, like, you can see it now with this new, Tyler Jordan, you know what I mean, or, last year, Sam Holloway, or, like Austin James or Shaw, or, Shelby Wilder. There's just so many that, like, have so much more just to do and just mold themselves into these performers. It's really just, I think that's really just what is great about the Thursdays is you can give some of these, and then you have, the people that, I don't think would be, offended when you say like they just wanted to be wrestlers, you know what I mean? Like a Dr. Daniel C. Rockingham who, is, anybody that knows anything about his real life is, he is, he has a career in place, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But he wanted to chase his dream. He wanted to chase his dream just to do it, you know what I mean? And like there's nothing wrong with that mentality either. And he has a lot to teach, a lot of these guys, like there's just so many kind of different intersecting viewpoints and ideas, and it creates like a really positive and great environment, I think, for a lot of people, to learn and hopefully excel in.
Absolutely. Well, we didn't really open it up to questions this week. I didn't know. Did you? Let me check the Discord here. I didn't mention anything. I had some shit going on earlier today, so I didn't post anything.
I put something in there. Yeah.
So Josh is wondering, was there any discussion about coming to Philly to be a part of Mania? Since the travel's, not so bad as, places like Florida or Texas, Philadelphia's only like,
no, I mean, wasn't offered, we didn't ask, nobody asked us, sort of thing. So no, I mean, no, like it wasn't something that I was like dying to do anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think you've kind of been not soured, but we did it in Jersey City that time, and it is a lot. I wasn't even part of the company at that time, and I'm aware of all the, the hoops and just shit that you got to jump through. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. There's a lot of things. We normally run wrestling shows here in Ohio to take it a couple states away. It's not just like picking up and moving it, I guess, is the easy way to say it.
And it's just, you're just, I don't know, you're just gambling, like, I mean, yeah, there's money to make and all that. And, like there's, just like it's, there's ego, obviously you want to be in the mix, but you're gambling too at the same time, and I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't. Yeah. If somebody would have asked, maybe we would have at least like run some pros and cons. But like the fact that we didn't ask, I wasn't asking but anybody. It wasn't really on my radar of things to do. You know what I mean? We did it. I thought we did great at it. We went to do it again. COVID happened. We got stuck doing the makeup show in Indiana instead of Tampa. And to me, like, it was just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, we did it. Like, I think we did it great in Jersey City. Like, I can live with that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to do it every year. It was just to prove that we could do it. We could draw. We can have a successful show. Like, I checked all the boxes. Like, I don't I know like on this podcast I say, we do need the money, right? But like I also don't need it enough to gamble it all to, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a huge gamble to where like, yeah, there's a big pot of money maybe, but like there's also like a huge money pit, for like for a company like us that's like in the middle, you know what I mean? Like we're not the least known, we're not the most known, like it's a gamble, you know what I mean? Like GCW is like, they're the top indie right now, they're going to draw, like everything else is everything else that goes out is kind of a gamble. And like there's a lot of people that are very successful and they're going to be very successful, but like I don't know, like I never really feel too comfortable gambling with, like I would gamble with like my own money or life or whatever, but like I don't feel comfortable gambling with like everybody else's, desire for AIW to keep going.
Right. Hercules, hypothetically, they are asking, do you think Temple would be okay, Temple Live downtown, if they would be okay with a food truck parking outside for, a food option during the show or before the show at all?
I have no idea, but, a lot of times you got to pay that food truck thousands of dollars to show up. You know what I mean? It's not like, the food truck game is like a little weird, like, it's like you got to pay them to show up and then they make money, so it's, I don't know anybody I'm sure if I knew somebody with a food truck, maybe, you know what I mean? But like, I think just cold going like, hey man, bring some of these food trucks out here. I think that's like, I'm almost positive like you have to pay them, unless it's like some like city organized thing, so I don't really know anything about the food truck game though, to be honest.
It could probably be food truck specific, you know what I mean? Maybe if you have a food truck and you're looking to, to sponsor and get your name out there, or maybe work out some sort of deal, we could put you in contact. Fans, so,
we could put you in contact with the people out there like that. Like, I just don't think that, like that couldn't be like, you would have to work that out with the Temple. You know what I mean? We could, if you had a food truck and you wanted to do that, we could probably facilitate that conversation, but like I'm not going to be like, hey, you guys ever think about having a food truck? And I have like no food truck that I know, you know what I mean? Like
right. I guess the thing to say would be if you know somebody who with a food truck who would be interested in working out some sort of a deal or something, that's a wrestling fan, contact Jim at AI Wrestling, and maybe we can see what we can get the ball rolling with. No guarantees, no promises, obviously, but I guess that's something we could look into, you know what I mean? Yeah. Especially in the summer with nice weather, it wouldn't hurt to maybe check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I just, like stuff like that, it's just like, that thought would have never crossed my mind because I just don't know anybody with a food truck, you know what I mean? And like the Temple is like supposed to do all that, and then sometimes they have food, sometimes they have hot dogs with no buns, I don't know.
I wasn't going to harp on it too much. I didn't want to make Mrs. Bishop upset. The follow-up question, finally, the last question we had, somebody, Sass, is asking, is there any chance of doing a joint show with another promotion? They're hinting maybe it's a weekend in early August. I think maybe some rumblings have been going on of some stuff going on in Cleveland in early August.
I don't know. Like there's a lot of like, maybe yes, maybe no. Like, I don't know. Like SmackDown is probably going to be here on Friday, with a rumored Saturday SummerSlam. So it's like, where do you get in there? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. And then like, we also like had a inquiry about a bot show on that August 3rd date, which is not confirmed, but like, and it has nothing to do in conjunction with SummerSlam, if that's even the real date or if it's even real. But I don't know. There's a lot of things in flux. Like I did inquire, with some venues like about availability, but I haven't heard anything back either. So, who knows? WWE does do things at several venues when they come to town with these big events, so I mean, they may have venues locked down as well, like that's certainly a thing that is also possible. You have, access or whatever they call it, sometimes they attach that to other events besides just WrestleMania. They may have an NXT somewhere. They may have the Undertaker one-man show, you know what I mean? They do a bunch of shit, you know, when they come to these big events. So, I mean, they may have holds on every venue, you know, like, I don't know, you know, every major venue, like like Temple or something. I don't know. They didn't, you know, they haven't gotten back to me. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but, you know, it's just, until you know for sure, you know, like, it's just like, I'm not going to book a show on August 2nd and then like SummerSlam is in Columbus, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that would be rough. There's that's putting a lot of eggs in the basket. It's kind of almost like talking back what we were talking about, you know, with the Mania stuff. You know, it's hard to kind of try to predict the future, I think.
Yeah, and it would be even a gamble in Cleveland where we're all at, you know what I mean? Because this stuff doesn't come to town every year, you know? So it's like, are people going to spend their money on us? Are they going to spend it on all the WWE events? You know, like, there's a lot of, you know, do we do like a multi-promotion thing and then you're spreading the money even thinner, you know? Like, there's, you know, it's, Cleveland is like not like a, you know, I mean, maybe, I'm sure there's people in Cleveland that make money, obviously, but like for the most part, it's like pretty blue collar. You know what I mean? Like people, you know, people complain about our ticket prices. You know what I mean? Imagine throwing like 10 different shows, you know, like for them to try to spread all that money across. Like, it's just, it is crazy. I will, you know, preemptively make the announcement now because I did see some other shows get announced. Absolution is July 13th. It's a Saturday. It is downtown at Temple Live. So mark your calendars on that. Don't be going to that other show.
There you have it. Breaking news, July 13th. Temple Live, Absolution. That's going to be a big one. I can't wait. Always excited for Absolution every year. That's kind of it, though. That's all we had for question-wise. It's getting to the end here. Thorne, anything you wanna get to before we get out of here?
No, I mean, I think I'm losing my voice. We talked so much positivity on this podcast on behalf of Josh Bishop's mom, who thinks I'm too negative and sad sometimes on this podcast.
I haven't seen her for a while. I don't know. I'm kind of busy in the back, so I don't really get around to say hey to everyone, but I haven't seen her.
It's because she's been too sad by our podcasting, I guess.
She probably doesn't even know who I am. So
she wants me to up the positivity, so it's a more welcoming environment. So this is what I'm doing. Welcoming you back, Kim Bishop.
All right. Well, for myself, for John Thorne, for AIW, for everybody, thanks for listening, and we'll see everybody next week. Thanks.